Hello everyone of YouTube, welcome to another video, something a little bit different, which we like to mix it up as much as we can. We're going to hit you with another play and explain because the general feedback I get is that these are the videos you guys want to see more often. The play and explains tend to get the most views. And so on and so forth, so we'll pander to the people, but we will do something a little bit different here today, whereby, as you can see, we have some reg tables and we've added in some iPoker for this particular session. This is so I can basically, this is what a little bit more of what a normal session will look like for me, as I tend to grind out the reg tables and try to get, you know, the average stake of 500 or 400 an L or whatever, with less 200. So I thought this would be a nice one to do a little video on. I've got the lobbies open on the left hand side. We're going to go for 4 reg tables. This one we're just on a list for a full ring one, and we're keeping an eye open for another 6 max iPoker game that may or may not open up. In terms of a theme for the play and explain, I don't have one, to be fair. We'll let it kind of organically come up as the video progresses. So we'll go with this and see what happens. And as we say that, 2 tables bring themselves to our attention, so we'll pop these ones over. We now have a seat on the full ring, which we may swing over as and when stuff happens. So we've got 5 tables going. One of them you can't see, but I'm kind of okay with that. If something happens on that table, as I say, we'll swing it over. One of these may die as we go. So I guess we can talk a little bit whilst the action's just getting going about, you know, the difference between reg tables and Zoom. It is obviously a highly debated topic. You know, it's one of the main questions that I tend to get asked. We're going to defend the ace-5 with some 3-bet, actually, I think. Because we're a little bit short, I think you get more offsuit ace-x in the 3-betting range because you tend to go less linear because they can just 4-bet jam. Apologies if you can hear that in the background. But. And the flop comes down king, queen, 5, kind of expecting a range bet from my opponent here. And we are going to just defend probably by pure call. Seems like the most natural thing to do, I think. So tagging, oh my god, you might not be able to hear that, you might, who knows. 9s we're going to fold to the squeeze here. It's a bit low in our range to call 4-bet. Ace-5 I think we'll defend again. It doesn't look amazing, but our opponent just still has a lot of natural bluffs here, a lot of clubs, even though we have the ace of clubs. A lot of ace-10, ace-jack, jack-10, 10-9 and so on. With that in mind, that's not going to be the best river. Would rather defend ace-5 than like pocket 6s just because our outs are cleaner. And we do block more value with the ace-5 than say a pocket 6s. And yeah, really bad river, unfortunately. We could consider stationing on some brick rivers when all the draws miss, but unfortunately on this river he gets to bluff quite a lot, and a lot of his natural bluffs on the turn complete here, so I don't think we need to be heroing down with ace-5 there. Versus the recreational on the top left corner table, we're just going to be opening something approaching any 2 because he just never 3-bets, and that is just going to increase the EV of every open, full stop, but also we're going to have a pretty huge post-flop edge versus this kind of character, so we can definitely widen this one up exploitatively. What was I going to say? Tagging system on iPoker is just the same as stars, so If you see orange, you know, expect a reg, or blue, expect a reg. If you see green, expect a recreational, basically. Or this purple, it's kind of like a semi-recreational, semi-reg kind of thing. King 9 we're going to fold. On the Jack 10 3, I think I'm okay just range betting this one on a rainbow texture. I think that's going to be all sweet. So we'll just go range bet for small. And this guy is completely unknown to us. Going to assume reg for the time being. We're not going to fold top pair just yet, but we are very much not loving life. Okay, turns interesting, improves us a little bit more. Well, opponent goes quite quick for pot. It's interesting, a lot of his value is somewhat devalued, although it's not the worst in the world. Not going to fold with our pair plus open-ender here. Don't think we're considering anything else. It's quite a strong line from our opponent at this point, but we're still going to flick that one in. And we'll just leave this one next big blind. Unfortunately, there's no real way to not grim people on iPoker. And everyone does it, so you kind of just have to jump on the bandwagon. I wouldn't tend to do it on stars, but I also don't want to just get grimmed by everyone and then try to be the one guy that doesn't do it. So sorry to these two chaps. With the Jack 9 here, it's very close. Just depends on how much King Queen he tends to rifle off here. And puts in this line. Do have good blockers. I think we'll spin the wheel and flick this one in every now and again. That's insanity from him. Might just be a recreational then based on that. We're going to 3-bet the ace king here. And we timed out on this one with the 8-9 annoyingly. Actually semi-close on the turn. Let's give it a that. Oh my god. On the queen high board, I think we do pretty well on the single Broadway board here. Not going to grim this guy now. Well, maybe we are. I don't know how it's going to work. I'm not going to play him heads up just for the sake of the video. Okay, so we can consider bombing this on the turn. Opponent is going to have a lot of pairs. Not that many floats. I think this is going to be one of those where we will consider checking and giving up, but we can also barrel the turn. We do pick up a lot of equity here. I think ace-king's kind of whatever in this sort of line. Sometimes betting, sometimes checking. And giving up, I think, is okay. Let's keep this one for now then with the full ring, with the rec up here. Does the replayer work? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, no reads on our opponent. I mean, on the river, the good news is we block a lot of value. We block Jack 10, we block Queen 9, we block 9-7, which is really, really nice. From calling, you know, theory-wise. We obviously didn't have the read that our opponent is a gigantic whopper who's just rifled it in with the ace-8. Probably simplifying to just range here. I think it's okay with the aces. King Queen is a lot of combos, basically a lot of potential combos that all miss it. It can take this line. I do think it's very close and very indifferent, just generally speaking. So with that one, we were just spinning the old wheel for 50-50 on the river, because I just believe, you know, versus an unknown opponent there, we are relatively indifferent. Although our blocker properties are very good. So you could argue just going with the blockers there and calling every time and then folding something like King Jack would be the play. I think we could just about value bet here with our aces. It is towards the thinner end. I'm just thinking on sizing here. I think pot probably does the trick. So I think once I mean, we could argue for maybe smaller and putting like Queen Jack and Jack 10 into trouble. But he does still have a lot of King 10 and King Queen and stuff like that, yeah. Which also should be pretty indifferent on the river, to be fair. The stronger his range is, the more we'll size up, but I think pot's probably the kind of sweet spot in general. And aces is pretty much the bottom end of our value region at that point, I think. Let's have a look at these. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think the pace is quite good now. Recreationals on every table. Live the dream. So, yeah, I mean, in terms of... Bear with. I don't think we do much c-bet on this board. I think our opponent has probably quite a big advantage in terms of the flushes that he has here. So I think we're going to check a lot. That flush advantage will rule us a little bit. On the turn, we're going to reopen the action with quite a lot of ace-x. We're going to check back again as well. We do pick up a lot of equity with our gut. I say pick up equity, we don't actually, but we do have a gut shot. So I think we can probably pop this into a delay c-bet and ask the question of like pocket fives and stuff. Bluff some spade rivers, maybe bluff the occasional brick as well. It's going to be okay. We're going to play B40 and high frequency here, I think on 10-3-5. Yeah, so we do have quite a lot of bluffs to pick from here. I mean, I think this one is okay. I think we'll mix it up on the river and just try and keep our frequencies in check a little bit here, just to make us a little bit tougher to play against so we're not horrendously over bluffing. So again, just thinking 50-50 in my head and kind of controlling our frequencies a little bit. There would be targeting basically like 2-5s and maybe Jack 9 or something like that. Pretty clear check here with the pocket sixes, I think. Nothing more to be done. Hand's too strong to turn into a bluff. It's also a turn where we need to check back quite often, I think. Snap check. I don't think we win very often here. Our opponent does check extremely quickly. We're also not going to value bet very wide. I think we just tap the table with the 2 6s, to be fair. Probably just bluff the endless amounts of, like, you know, ace 9 suited or whatever that we have here. You could maybe make the argument that the snap check is really weak. Kind of, you know, that kind of holding, and we're going to try and make all of that fold. Which is maybe what I would have done once upon a time. But these days, as I say, I'm more thinking in terms of my overall game plan a little bit more where that sort of stuff is concerned. Because just whilst he does snap check the river and it is quite weak, that doesn't mean he's going to, you know, overfold. It just means he's got quite a bluff catch heavy range, which he absolutely does. And that is not necessarily conducive to overfold. I think we could probably open the ace, the 8-7. I think we'll probably ditch this full ring. I mean, this guy is a recreational who's bought in very short and is super tight, so it's not the best table in the world, I don't think. We can try and find a better one. Let's go for that and see who joins. Don't think we're raising the ace-9, just think always call here. Still quite a strong range from our opponent. That's on the thinner end, but we'll allow it. I think we can ISO the Jack 8 versus the recreational. And we'll just start with a range bet on the bottom left table. Okay, so yeah, what to talk about? I mean, yeah, we were trying to get into the difference between Zoom and reg tables, weren't we? And there are, you know, differences, and it is one of the most common questions I do get asked, you know, Simon, like, should I play Zoom Or should I play reg tables as I look to move through the stakes, or, you know, even if from the guys who are playing, you know, 200 and L, like, should I play Zoom or should I play reg tables? It is a debate as old as time. For me personally, I do prefer the reg tables. The pace of play is more suited to me. I think I, you know, found this out definitely this year, that like I'm not one of these guys who's massively able to play lots and lots of tables and, you know, play when the action is really fast and make really accurate decisions. I'm more of a guy who needs to take his time a little bit more and think things through. The faster you make me play, the more likely I am to make mistakes generally. So for me, Zoom is not the best format, though I'm, you know, can do it for a video, 2 tables, or maybe add 1 table of Zoom in here and there, which isn't going to be too quick. Another benefit to your reg tables is that you get to see every hand, and, you know, when there is a recreational at the table, you can, well, A, you play every hand with a recreational at your table, but B, you also get to figure out what state of mind they're in. So you can see when they've just lost a big pot and then they're ready to do off the other 80 big blinds they've got left, for example, which is really, really valuable, and you don't necessarily see that in Zoom. So I think, you know, in terms of playing versus recreationals, there is a huge benefit to being on a reg table rather than Zoom. Starting with a high frequency C-bet on the table 1, top left here, 9s is just going to easily check now on the ace, and starting with just probably a little bit of a simplification, high frequency C-bet, but very much okay with it. You know, of all the spots in the world where, you know, I think simplifying is going to be really good, it's like in position, button versus cut off in a 3-bet pot, for example. 9s, we just go to showdown and hope to be 4-5 or something. The downsides to reg tables, stuff like this, you know, you do have to be checking the lobby quite a lot. You are hopping around on tables. As I say, on a site like iPoker, which just seemingly has nothing in place for grimming, you kind of just have to be a scummy grimmer and do it, because everyone does it to you, and it can be really detrimental to your win rate if you just try and balance the buttons out and no one else does. But yeah, a lot of table jumping. You have to play a few hands heads up. You, as I say, scan the lobby. You have to start tables and things like that. You should be checking on the tables to make sure that you're still on a profitable one. Like this one potentially is not that great. Easy call with a 7-6, I think. And I mean, I guess bluff the 6-5. It's not the most appetizing, but we'll do it. Again, probably an overbluff. I'm not really betting that much here. And yeah, opponent makes a good call. 7-6, I think polarization is the order of the day, so checking back a lot. Going quite tight for value. 7-6 looks like a very natural check, I think. So yeah, there's definitely more politics, if you will, involved in playing reg tables, and it can be frustrating in that regard. It is slower, so if you want to grind out the rate back, reg tables is probably not going to be the main way that you want to do it. I think we bluff raise other things here, so I think just call 7-6 is sweet. Generally not going to be folding. Like it should be relatively indifferent there, 7-6 in theory, but a bet check, bet line, blind on blind is not really one I'm going to be making a huge habit of folding on. It does tend to be relatively overbluffed, to say the least, shall we say. So my advice generally, with the debate between, should I play reg tables or should I play Zoom is try both and, play to your strengths. Essentially figure out what your strengths are and also what you want to achieve, Delay c-betting relatively often here. Like, I think I can delay c-bet sixes here, but king queen I think is just a slam dunk check back with no club. Yeah, so play to your strengths, and what you want to achieve. If you want lots of rate back and you want to get lots of hands in per month, for a little bit more guaranteed income and so on, then Zoom's going to be a pretty good format for you. I think a7 can probably do a bit of both here and go either way. Yeah, I'm kind of okay with it. We do get the overbet here, and I think just folding is generally okay. Avoid the overbet there, and call versus 2/3 would be my kind of methodology there. A7 picking up equity is usually a good start here. The 4 is a relative brick. It does, connect a little bit, but there's not really masses of 6-7 to be worried about. I think potting it is fine. Go pot. I think jacks are still worth a lot of money here, for example. Going to defend the 10-8, but with caution here versus 4x. And the world's easiest fold. And on the bottom left versus the recreational, we're going to try and turn a flush. That is the strategy we're going to use here. No. Still going to call. I just think, we have 12 outs, right? I mean, that's probably close to the pot odds, but then also, if we get there, I expect him to stack off quite often, so we can justify it. But we did not get there, unfortunately. Right, we've got another reg table on stars here, so let's pitch this one, which looks kind of reggy. Let's jump in this one. This is the tighter reg, isn't it? We'll see if the boys down here decide to buy in for more big blinds. Where's that gone now? Which I would imagine they probably will in a second to cover the fish. My OCD kicking in now. I want to have these lined up. This table is going to break, unfortunately. But no bother, we can always get another one in. Okay, so ace 2 is a high frequency 3-bet here. Could call as well. Ironically, we've rolled a 100, so we'll call, but both options are fine. King A versus this guy was really tight, so we could 3-bet it and be really linear, but I think call's okay. Versus a more tighter recreational. I think we're just gonna put a little bit more money into the pot here and try and stack a queen that we dominate pretty hard versus a fish. I believe, like, tighter player, this will just be really weak. So I think we'll just attack this. We've also got, like, a million outs, but just paying attention, to his sizing there. Tighter player, smaller on that kind of draw heavy board. Like, that's generally just going to be incredibly weak, I think. Ace 2, yeah, check again, seems okay. There is another recreational here now, so that's gonna be fine. I've not really paid much attention to this one. Although check is definitely fine. King 8, again, monotone board. Need a lot of check. Not too concerned here. I think we're going to check behind a decent wedge. Nothing screams pure bet to me at this point. And I think just call the ace 2 and lose the money. Again, similar to before, what we mentioned, like blind on blind, it is actually incredibly difficult to not overbluff in so many of those delay lines. So I don't even mind giving it away that I'm quite stationary in those lines. Like, you know, try just having value in those lines, and it's very, very difficult. So even if you know that I'm going to overcall you, it's still difficult not to overbluff. It's kind of crazy. I think I'm going to follow through with a big one here. I think this is kind of exploitative, but check the flop, check the turn. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, fair enough, I guess. I think it's a fine bluff candidate. I'm just not sure on my sizing there. Ace queen, I'm going to check back. Obviously, this guy's mega tight. Big blind 3-bet. It's going to be quite strong. We'll see a 3-1 and go from there. Yeah, in terms of bluffing that one, I'm actually, you know, it's completely fine, I think. It's just a question of whether I should pick that size or not, or whether that's just a size I'm just picking to try and make him fold, you know, 6 of diamonds or something. I'm going to check behind here again, just go to showdown. It feels like ace king, but it might be something else. Why would you bet now? Well, I think we'll bluff him, put it that way. Just in case he's bluffing ace king. Oh, wow. Wow, I'm getting shown it. I'm like so tight, and he 3-bets to 10-8, he finds that. Christ. Yeah, don't mind the river raise. Obviously, I'm going to raise an 8 and shit like that. Like, just think, mainly I was just thinking ace king or something like that you might have turned into a bluff, so I didn't want to call, but I think raise, it just looked really weak. I'm going to pure continue my queen 6 here with a bet. Just need to be really aggressive on these paired boards. Not even worried about having clubs here. Just going to fire. So yeah, I mean, he had a straight and a flush. And on the river, this is going to be a pretty horrendous bluff if we were to follow through. So we're not going to. I'm generally going to want a diamond in my hand to bluff the river. Also not going to value bet very thin now. Over pairs plus at best, I think. So pretty easy give up, I think. And a nice hand to my opponent. So opening a little wider because of this guy being tight. I mean, it sucks when... I mean, yeah. I thought Z form was actually just played 100 big blinds most of the time, so it kind of boggles my mind that he's not covering the fish here. Maybe he's experimenting with short stacking. I mean, I don't know. I'll have to ask him if I knew him, but I don't. Hi, mate, if you're watching. So yeah, let me know if you like this kind of format, guys. As I say, it's a bit, you know, lots of stuff going on and then not a lot of stuff going on. Obviously, it's not as consistent in terms of the zoom in with, you know, having a hand, you know, relatively often. And obviously I'm having to check on the other screen for lobbies and stuff like that. Like, if this is not something that is particularly amazing for you guys to watch, then obviously just let me know. Doesn't matter to me. Queen 8, I think we can probably just pure call. I don't think we need to do anything else here. I think just fold the ace 2. And Queen 10, I think pretty pure. When I definitely use the smaller 3-bet size, I think it's going to be fine. With the Queen 8, no money's going in. That's obviously a very good board for him. Jack's not the worst. Not going to bet very often. Probably going to bet a jack or a flush. So with that in mind, I don't need to find many bluffs. Just going to range bet my Queen 10 on King Queen 7. And probably simplify and do the same thing here as well. It's probably not quite a range bet, but I'm okay with it. I think I'd rather do that than play some kind of weird low frequency split on that kind of board. So we get a time bank from our opponent here. Okay. Would have been interesting if it had continued. I think already that would have been a little bit of a data point that we could read into. But important not to hang your hat on it, because it could just be he was having a drink or checking the lobby or whatever it might be. Okay, 5-8 we are going to call. Not much else to say. I'll do. Okay, opponent checks. There aren't many hands I want to reopen the action with here, so I think I actually want to go a little bit bigger. And with that in mind, I just don't see 8-5 ever performing really as a bet. It's kind of one of those hands that's just kind of checking and hoping to pick up something, or generally just give up. Kind of same logic here. I might start again. To be honest, I think my frequency is just really low here. I mean, the same kind of range that I want to bet the flop with is what I want to bet the turn with. So maybe some good ace highs, pocket fours that I didn't bet the flop with. But I don't think I'm going to, you know, or 3x obviously. I don't think I'm going to start reopening the action super wide here. So again, you know, a bluff candidate, I might start, you know, finding jack 4 of diamonds. I might find, you know, some random overcards or some flush draws, sure, but I don't need to find much. And then just fold. I mean, I'm not going to be raising the 8-5 there. Just blocks a lot of bluffs and doesn't look like a particularly appealing bluff raise. Weak passive, eh? Just check the flop, check turn, fold the river with 8 high. But sometimes it is very much the best thing to do. Okay, so mandatory 4-bet with our aces. There is more dead money in there, so I think we're going to size up a little. And we hold for a lovely little small pot. Okay, so Jack 8. Yeah, I think raise or limp is going to be okay. Let's throw in a limp. It's high enough. High enough on the Wheel of Doom where I think we can limp. I don't know if that's a misclick or if that's actually what he's ISOing to, but interesting nonetheless. Yeah, really easy call. I mean, generally, you want to ISO quite big because the range I'm going to be limping is relatively linear. So 2.1 doesn't really do anything, but it could just be, you know, he's got hotkeys and he's pressed the wrong hotkey or something. But yeah, not much to do with Jack 8. We'll just check fold and move on. We'll 3-bet our ace queen on the bottom right. We are at 36 minutes of video time at the moment, and we'll probably run this through for another 45 or so. I mean, it has been kind of slow. Obviously, it is just 4 tables. So again, I mean, this is very much like a trial. So as I say, please do give me some feedback on whether you like this pace or whether you want, as I say, more zoom or whatever it might be. And obviously, I mean, again, I do... the videos I've done so far, I've had a lot of comments and a lot of questions, so please keep that up. I really like the fact that I get to interact with a lot of you, and I do want, you know, this YouTube to be as educational as possible. So fire away with any questions you do have on the video or on just anything else in general. So Jacks, I was considering flatting, and I think flatting has a lot of merit for the recreational in the blinds. But to be fair, we actually were cut off versus button, which just generally just means you want to 3-bet more with pocket jacks. But wait, what happened there? So this guy's V-pips are 29 and 1. So I'm going to tap the table with 7-6 and hope to flop a straight. 9s, I think, pure calls versus MP. Something approaching that seems okay. Bluff turn, bluff river, I think, is the vibe now. He's going to continue his ace highs. He does snap call, which is really annoying. I might jam. No, not on that. Then we'll go small over bet and just make him fold ace high. Maybe a pair, but probably pushing it, to be fair. But it is just very ace high heavy at that point. So I really don't mind following through there, even though it is a very bad river to follow through on. But I think if we can make him fold, you know, ace high, we'll be doing okay there. Ace 5, not so much. Probably maybe a slight mistake, just based on the river size there. Like I could probably just go 4 big blinds and do a similar sort of thing. Okay, so in these positions, it's not a slam dunk as it looks because his range is just a lot stronger. I think we'll go B40 because I think he's got a lot of ace high. I think if we were like button versus big blind, our hand would be worth a lot more money. And you could consider sizing up to pretty much whatever you fucking like, but in these positions, like he will have like, you know, a lot of Jack X in this check back, a lot of pocket tens in this kind of check back, and his overall range is just stronger. So generally speaking, when you play earlier positions, you know, when you get the bet check kind of lines, like you can't block as wide as you as wide for value as you can versus the button, because you'll value own yourself a little bit, and as I say, the range is just stronger. 13 I think is going to be pretty sweet. Try and fold the reg and get called by the fish. So he raised us in a really different line before, and then we 3-bet and he folded. So I'm actually going to go a little bit smaller here, I think, and try to induce a raise out of him. I'm also going to take my time with it for similar reasons. And we'll see if we can get him to punt it off that way, rather than just going bigger on the flop, which is also valid, but if we can, you know, induce the recreationals to do something, I do tend to take that line quite a lot. Could be something I'll do a video on at some point. Okay, so we face half pot here from Z4Muz. Don't think I'm in a huge hurry to raise Queen 5. I think we'll just continue with call. Potentially could lead the turn, actually. A snap check, to me, might have been a consideration. And I don't think there's anything to do other than check here with a 5. I think we'll squeeze the ace-10. Too weak to value bet, too strong to bluff. I think could be a real argument for check calling here. He does have a lot of ace-x, that is the annoying thing, but he should also bluff a lot of that. This guy, when he cold calls, has a really tight and strongish range here, so I don't like it. It'll hit the queen pretty hard, so I don't actually think I'm even going to see bet there. Does have a lot of ace-x, king jack, king queen, queen jack, jack 10, might also bet the turn. This is very close. I think we'll let the gods decide, but I don't love it. So it checks round on the flop. We don't have anything going on. We're going to check again. So generally just multi-way here and a little bit deeper. You know, I am going to be a bit more cautious. You could argue for just c-betting the flop, and I don't think that's a bad idea. But I actually don't think the board is that great. Like, you know, a cold calling range here versus a squeeze is actually quite strong. You know, it's a lot of ace-queen, king-queen suited, queen-jack suited. You know, queens should be in there, jacks, 10s, you know, 9s. It's really not that difficult for him to do pretty well here, and there isn't that much air in his range. You know, even his like king 10, king jack, jack 10 kind of hands connect with that pretty well. Plus you've got the guy behind who also won't be doing too bad, so I think we should be quite passive on that kind of board, actually. Versus the 2 wrecks here, I think just check and continue to do that for the time being. Just because I don't think here they're going to fold anything. We do have some showdown value. We have a lot of showdown value, actually. So I think we'll just go with that. Yeah. These 2 of hearts. I mean, the issue there, as I say, is that they're not going to fold any pair once it checks round on the flop. And they have a lot of draws and so on, so it's just a bit shit, to be honest, to put any money in with a bluff, at least. No particular sim-worthy hands here, is there? So I think we're at 44 minutes of the video. I think I'll run it on for an extra 5 or 10. Just to give you some extra play, seeing as I say, I haven't really had any hands that any major hands of note. Obviously the one where we want to stack with Jack 9 was you know, an interesting one, but we didn't even realise we were playing a recreational at that point. It's kind of interesting. If I'd have known it was a recreational, I probably would have folded. But there you go. 10-9, yeah, pure free bet is fine. And Jack-9, I think, just goes really well multi-way. I don't think it plays particularly well as a squeeze. Just kind of end up dominated if we get called, which is not great. In a big pot, out of position, so. Yeah, that'll win. Alright, so a limp. I was considering it with 10-8. It would have been very loose, but it might not have been the worst. What else have I got to say? As I say, quite a slow one this, but I hope you enjoy. I mean, if you've made it this far, congratulations. Yeah, give me some video ideas. I mean, I might put something in the description actually about this, but like if you want to see like a particular video on a particular topic or whatever, please let me know. You know, if the, you know, watching 4 reg tables, you know, spurs you to think, do you know what, mate, can you do us a video on exploiting fish, or, you know, whatever, or reg battling, or anything really. Those are the 2 that just immediately came to mind, but yeah, let me know in the comments below. Let's have a couple of hands to finish, a couple of spicy hands. So ace queen, I think just pure free bets, and then like king queen suited is going to flat a lot. Ace queen's just too strong, essentially, just to not 3-bet it, I think. I had a question come up, I think it was on the last video, that I have read, I just haven't replied to, but I might just answer it here, where I think someone asked about the HUD, which I've actually just adjusted ever so slightly, quite recently actually. Not by much, it's just to add in some one when saw flops and things like that. I think it was actually based on the question I got, where it was kind of like, you have quite a minimalist HUD. And you say you don't really use it versus regs, which is true. And the person who was asking the question basically wanted to know why that was. Because you do see a lot of people, you know, have basically the whole fucking screen covered with HUD stats, and then, you know, they're deep in to some reg who they're up against, looking at their fucking turn float stat in a 3-bet pot, or whatever it might be. Which is an approach, as I say, it's just not mine. My reasoning for that is, first of all, you need a massive sample size to look deep into people's HUDs, and very often you just do not have that. Ace King, I think it's almost a 4-bet bluff, basically, if we are to 4-bet this, so I think we'll go call. Just positionally, we just have to be very tight. Like, we flat kings here, we'll flat some aces. It's just, there's not much 4-betting going on, so 4-bet getting in ace king's actually kind of gross. Our opponent here goes for the 3/4 pot, and we'll be continuing just with call. I don't think jam makes a lot of sense. Probably do have a jamming range, but very minimal. I think this guy could be pretty good. I've not played with him very much just yet, but he made the call with king 8 earlier, and I don't know, something sticks out in my head that it could be quite good, actually. I think if he jams, we'll be probably just folding and being very happy about it. Is there a reason not to? I mean, the issue is if you three-quarter pot it on the flop, like, there ain't that many hands that you're going to fire on the turn for all in. Like an ace-10, ace-jack, maybe like a queen-jack of hearts or something. Other than that, it ain't much. And it's quite a strong range as mentioned anyway. So I just don't think we need to be defending ace-king, put very simply. I think we'll just fold and move on. There may have been a time, once upon a time, where I'd have called that, but I just don't think it makes any fucking money in this day and age, so... hence we fold. It's just, the thing with it is I think the formations, as I say, are so tight. And his sizing is already on the flop so polarized that, like, that is not a line he'll be taking here, even with 2 10s. So then, I mean, you could argue he doesn't need to find many bluffs, but the bluffs should be really natural. And we don't do amazingly versus them either. It's not like we've got them, you know, completely dead. Well, they won't be a million miles off some of them, I guess. But also, like, if you're going to take this line with ace-10 of spades, then fair enough. And good luck to you, but, I mean, I don't think that's the most natural. So what I'm trying to say is I think it's probably a little bit too value heavy. This is a very recreational guy. We might be able to get to do spicy things. Let's go for this. And we tend to go small raise here. I think it's valid with some king X at least, you know, some of the time. I think just check call here. It's fine. Maybe value bet a better jack. Yeah, not folding. If you have it, you have it. Okay, so the turn, I think we're going to need to slow down a bit. Nice hand. Yeah, I think very generally, I think a safe option here, because I'm not sure like if I should have a split here or not between bet and check with this hand, so I think it's always quite safe just to check it. So I'm going to go with that rather than whatever the RNG said. Just because I'm not sure if I actually do want to bet this hand in this line at this point. Generally, versus a 5x open, I'm not going to flat much, but keeping the Rex in is going to be nice. We'll check call this one this time. And I think we lead. We just want to make flushes indifferent, I think, and maybe pairs indifferent. I think we'll just lead for 25 here. I think it makes a lot of sense. I'm going to try really hard to flop a 9. I'm just considering whether I should back jam or not, but I think that's probably suicide. Okay, I'm going to try and turn a 9. How about that? Such a weird spot, this, isn't it? 9. Oh. One off. Yeah, let's next big blind. We'll call the ace-10. Interesting spot here. Like, if this was me, I think we float here for what it's worth all day. I'm just worried about him, because if it was me, I would check twice here all day long with like my aces. Okay, pay the man. Okay, fold in here. I should just considering whether I can value jam this one. I don't think so. He can actually have quite a lot of king X, annoyingly, so yeah. Yeah, so I mean that's a street poker hand if ever I've seen one, isn't it? The big worry with the call here is not him like at all. Like we're stacking off versus him. It's more that Mr. Holden Caulfield is like, if it was me and I squeezed in the spot and I got the 10-4-4, like you give me aces and kings, I don't mind checking them with 4 people in the pot. Do you know what I mean? And then the 10 turn, it's very easy to check them twice. So yeah, bear with me. Hello.
Hi.
I'm just recording the end of a video. I'll be done in 2 minutes.
Okay.
Sorry about that. The old missus has just got home and now I've got to go downstairs and cook pasta. I say I've got to, I love it. Who loves it more? Ace 3, I think we just fold. This is this gigantic squeeze. I think this guy's primed to just get it in now, annoyingly. I mean, we're leaving this next hand anyway, but I think there isn't really a world in which he doesn't stack off here. This is your benefit to reg tables. It's just that this guy's now lost a big part, and he's, you know, you can see he's in do it off mode. I would have checked to him for what it's worth, but turns out he's going to get there. No one know. Did he cash out? We'll never know. Brutal. But yeah, he was very much in do it off mode there, you can tell. Right, let's wrap it up. I'm not going to play this last hand. Tell no one. Right, and we'll call it a video there, so just under an hour. Hope you all enjoyed. Let me know what you think. See you on the next one. Enjoy your week.